Now, after 1 week of use, the Infinix GT 30 Pro might be the best budget gaming phone of 2025. Now, I've been daily driving my 30 Pro for 7 days straight, max brightness, 144 Hz locked in, and yeah, I threw everything at it. Genshin Impact, PUBG Mobile, Call of Duty Mobile, and it didn't just survive, but it kind of flexed. And the craziest thing to me is that this isn't some $800 gaming brick. This is a phone that costs less than most mid-range picks and still manages to push flagship level frame rates, and I really didn't expect this at all. But before you even think about buying the 30 Pro, there are a few things that you seriously need to know. From battery drains to surprise bugs to a gaming feature that I still can't believe actually works. I'm breaking down everything, no fluff, just facts, so let's get into it. But before we get into some real testing, I would like to introduce you guys to my partners, Wondershare Recover It. Now, Wondershare Recover It is a free to download software that's designed to help you recover lost or deleted files from various storage devices. So basically, have you ever had that heart-stopping moment when your important files suddenly vanish and you're just sitting there thinking, is there any possible way on earth where I can get them back? Well, Recover It's advanced scanning technology can find your lost files no matter where they are. Whether it's an Excel spreadsheet, a PowerPoint presentation, or a Word document, Recover It will get it back. So don't let lost files stress you out. Recover It is trusted by over 100 million users worldwide, and it's backed by 20 years of expertise in data recovery. It's secure, reliable, and a powerful recovery for any device. And if you guys are interested in using Recover It, click the link in the description and comment section of today's video. Now, under the hood, the 30 Pro is powered by the 8350, and trust me, this chip is no slouch. It gives me the same experience that you'll find in phones that cost way more, and it's basically designed to run cool and stay efficient, even when you're pushing it with heavier titles like Genshin Impact or PUBG. You've also got a 144 Hz AMOLED display here, which, let's be honest, kind of sounds crazy at this price. It's super smooth, especially when you're swiping through menus or locked into a high FPS shooter, and the touch response is quick and it feels fast, not just on paper. Now, when it comes to battery, you're looking at a 5500 mAh cell backed by 45 watt fast charging, and this basically means that it's big enough to last through long sessions, but also quick enough to bounce back if you drain it during the late night grind. And they've also thrown in a vapor chamber cooling system to help keep temps under control, which I'll definitely be testing in just a bit because those gaming thermals can make or break your experience. So yeah, solid chipset, fast display, big battery, and some cooling tech to back it all up. That's the setup. Now let's see what this actually does when we push it. Now, when it comes to gaming, I tested this thing across 6 heavy-hitting titles, all on max settings, and let me tell you, this phone did not tap out easily. Starting with Genshin Impact, I cranked it up to high graphics with 60 frames per second enabled. The 30 Pro held a 55 to 60 frames per second during the first 15 minutes, which honestly is impressive for a phone in this bracket. It did start to dip slightly after about the 20-minute mark, hovering around 55, but there were no stutters or thermal throttling. The response stayed snappy, even during boss fights, and visuals look clean on that 144 Hz AMOLED panel. Now, when it comes to Call of Duty Mobile, it easily wins. Maxed out at very high graphics plus max frames per second, and this thing just glided. We're talking about a steady 60 frames per second in multiplayer, no hiccups even in chaotic moments, and I use the in-game FPS counter plus game bench to double check, and yeah, this thing's tuned right for shooters. Next up, I played PUBG Mobile on HDR plus extreme settings. Frame rates were super consistent at around 60 frames per second, with only the occasional 1 to 2 frame dip during parachute landings, nothing that ruined the experience. Gyro worked great too, which is huge if you're into that precision playstyle. I also ran Once Human, which is pretty demanding even on higher end phones. Here I did notice some drops, mostly hovering around 50 frames per second, especially during intense combat scenes, and that's where the MagSafe cooler really came in clutch. It snaps onto the back magnetically, and with its smart voltage control, it actually gave me about 30% better thermal performance, helping sustain higher frame rates longer. And without it, the temps climbed fast, but with it, the heat stayed manageable and performance held more stable over time. Asphalt 9 was basically flawless, high settings, no frame skips, and everything from drifting to nitro boost looks slick, and this game is where the 144 Hz refresh rate really shows off. And what impressed me even more was that I was even able to load up a PSP emulator just to see how far I could push things. I ran Fight Night Round 3, Madden 12, and a couple of other classics, Not only did they run smoothly, but I bumped up the resolution scaling and they still look crisp and play flawlessly. No slowdowns, no overheating, and the phone didn't even break a sweat. So overall, the 8350 is showing its strength here. Whether it's native Android games or emulators, the 30 Pro holds its own with solid FPS, fast response, and surprisingly good heat control, especially when paired with the MagCharge cooler. And yeah, I was expecting it to struggle somewhere, but after nearly 2 hours of testing across all games, it never really choked. So to anybody in my comments who's never used a phone, I will be the first to tell you that the MediaTek processor is really good, and before you down talk anything, don't just go with your eyes, you need to really test it out. But alright, let's talk about heat and power because all of that performance can come at a cost somewhere. Now after about 45 minutes of Genshin and Once Human back to back, without my cooling attachment, the phone definitely started to heat up, especially around the upper half of the camera module. I'd say it got noticeably warm, but not uncomfortably hot. And where it gets interesting is that I tried the same test with the MagCharge cooler attached, and the difference was real. It kept the phone at least 4 to 5 Celsius cooler. The magnetic snap-on design isn't just a gimmick. With the smart voltage control, it somehow manages to pull heat more efficiently. And yeah, it feels cooler in hand, heat soak, and longer sessions, which is definitely a win. And as for battery, I kept a close eye on the drain rate. On average, I was losing about 17 to 20% per hour of gaming, depending on the title. Shin was on the higher end, obviously, while lighter games like Asphalt 9 or Call of Duty Mobile hover closer to 15%. In my opinion, that's quick enough to get you back to another match before your coffee is even cold. So yeah, thermals are well managed, especially with the cooler, and the battery life is more than decent considering the kind of power that this phone is pushing. No overheating issues, no sudden throttles, and the recharge speed is definitely a gamer friendly bonus. Now software can make or break the experience, and I've got some thoughts on what Infinix is really doing here. First off, the game mode on the GT30 Pro is actually packed with useful features. When you launch a game, it activates a floating sidebar that gives you real-time FPS tracking, GPU and CPU stats, screen recording, and you can even edit your touch-sensitive triggers. It's clean, it's responsive, and doesn't feel tacked on like some other mid-range UIs. There's also a RAM expansion feature that lets you pull an extra 12 gigabytes from storage to boost multitasking, but it did help when I was jumping between Genshin and Telegram or YouTube, and it kept things running smoothly without kicking apps out of memory. And one thing that I did appreciate was the notification blocking. Game mode mutes all distractions automatically, and you can even fine-tune which apps still sneak through. So if you're playing a ranked match and don't want to be interrupted by random pings from Twitter or Gmail, then you're pretty much covered. Haptics though, they're okay. Not flagship tier, but decent. You get light feedback while typing or firing in Call of Duty Mobile, but it's not super tight or precise, just enough to feel something. In my opinion, it definitely could have been stronger for sure. So now that we got the positives out of the way, this is where I gotta be real. There's still some bloatware baked in the XOS. You'll get a couple of ads or app suggestions in the notification shade or during install prompts. It's not constant, but it's still there. It kind of pulls you out of the premium vibe that this phone is going for. But still, in terms of pure gaming utility, the tools are functional and polished. They feel like they were made for gamers, not just slapped in to check a box, and that's rare in this price range. But alright, let's take a quick detour and talk cameras. Not because this is a camera phone, but because if you're gaming, streaming, or just casually posting content, you might need to know what you're working with. Now, after a full week of use, I can say the 108 megapixel main sensor is pretty solid for the price. In daylight or well-lit indoor shots, it snaps sharp, colorful photos, good enough for thumbnails, setup pics, or Instagram stories. It's not flagship level when it comes to dynamic range or low light, but it handles everyday scenarios without a problem. And for quick clips on your gaming setup or shooting B-roll for reels, it's honestly more capable than you'd expect. The selfie cam definitely held up better than I thought too. Skin tones are somewhat okay, and the HDR kicks in well when you're in front of a bright window or you're just outside. I did a couple of Discord video calls and even tested it with a gameplay overlay, and it didn't blow out highlights or turn me into a ghost, so I guess that's a win. Video quality was alright, and while it's not cinematic, it's smooth and sharp enough for casual streaming or vlogging, and the mic quality was also surprisingly clean. Voices come through with clarity and barely any background hiss, even without a headset. So if you're planning to stream your mobile gameplay, vlog from your room, or casually drop highlight reels on TikTok, the 30 Pro's cameras absolutely hold up. Not flashy, but functional and reliable. But alright, so after using the 30 Pro for a full week, here's the deal. This phone is clearly built for a very specific crowd. If you're a budget gamer who wants maxed out graphics without maxing out your wallet, this phone is going to surprise you. And when paired with that 144Hz refresh rate screen and vapor chamber cooling, it straight up feels premium while in game. It's also a great fit for students or anyone who needs a reliable daily driver that keeps up with multitasking, media, and the occasional late night gaming session. The RAM expansion and fast charging make a huge difference here, especially if you're juggling school apps, Discord, Spotify, and a couple of games all at once. And if you're a casual streamer or content creator, you're pretty much covered too. The camera quality is good enough for reels and Discord calls. The mic clarity holds up during voice chats, and the gaming tools actually make the experience better, not buggier. So yeah, if you're someone who wants real performance without paying flagship prices, and you're okay with a few software quirks, then this phone lands in a sweet spot. But alright, let's also keep it real because no phone is perfect, and the 30 Pro also has its quirks. First off, the software experience still needs work. This XOS skin is packed with features, sure, but like I said before, some bloatware and occasional ads are baked into the system. And then there's long-term thermal consistency. While this phone still holds up during short sessions, after about an hour of heavy gaming, you'll start to feel the heat creep in, especially around the top half. It doesn't hit dangerous levels, but if you're gaming without a mag charge cooler, throttling can happen, especially in games like Once Human or Genshin at max settings. Also, as good as the Dimensity 8350 chip is, it still lags slightly behind flagship Snapdragon chips when it comes to raw GPU power. It's more than enough for 95% of users, but if you're the kind of gamer who obsesses over ultramax frame stability with zero dips, you might hit a few limits here. So are these deal breakers? Well, for most people, no. But there are definitely things that you should know before going in. So after a full week of using the 30 Pro as my daily driver, gaming hard, multitasking, and just living with it, here's my honest take. I thought it was just another flashy, spec-heavy mid-ranger, but by day 7, it earned my respect. And I would recommend it to its targeted audience. The 30 Pro does deserve to be on your radar. It's not perfect, but it punches way above its weight class, and for that, it still gets a solid thumbs up for me. And if this video helped you out, or even got you curious about trying the 30 Pro, drop a like and let me know down in the comments what phone that you're gaming on right now. I love seeing what flagships people are running, whether you're rocking a flagship or something budget that punches well above its weight. And if you want more honest breakdowns like this, or you're waiting for a full camera test and software deep dive, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel, and I've got way more content coming soon. Peace.